this is Nathan Edmondson. Welcome to One Final Twist.
Hi, this is Creed Bratton. Welcome to One Final Twist.
So, welcome, fellas, to One Final Twist. We're going to be talking about your book, Buffaloes. Uh, Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So Buffaloes is a action-packed Western. It's a story of a guy conscripted or joins, volunteers for the 10th Cavalry, and which is sent after the Civil War for the Indian campaign, specifically into Nebraska, to eradicate the Cheyenne. And I think the line that Creed is his initial brainchild that he pitched me, or that came up between us, that I think captures the book, is that this is a soldier who found more respect from his enemy than he did his command.
Mhm.
I think I said it, but you
Go
made
ahead.
it sound better.
When you were researching this, it's historical, so I'm sure a lot of research went into the final product. Did you find anything that was a huge surprise that you weren't expecting to find?
Well, for that, Scott, yes, we when we were researching it, we found out that in the East Coast, the powers that be were troubled that they had slaves that had been taught to shoot after the Civil War, and now they had this Indian uprising. So they decided, unbeknownst to me and to Nathan, that they were going to send the blacks out to be Buffalo Soldiers, hoping the Indians could remedy their quandary, that they
Yeah,
could take care of their problem for them. Yes,
I'll
I
add.
never heard that.
Yeah, and I'll add something to that, which I think I'm not sure that it's a revelation, but one of the areas of I think research that was important was understanding the relationship between the Crow and the Cheyenne, between the cavalry, there's the white cavalry and the Buffalo Soldiers. These relationship dynamics were sort of fascinating, and they're all very gray. There's a lot of sort of gray area between them, people crossing lines, and it's very human.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
Indians were, of course, fighting each other, all ongoing. It wasn't
Yeah.
like all the tribes were living in peace. They were
yeah.
trying to eradicate each other. The original idea that I just kind of ran by briefly with Nathan, and then we were off to the races after that, was an idea I had of a scout with the cavalry getting berated in front of the troops. And at the same time, one of the Buffalo Soldiers, sees this Indian who's ostensibly working for the military, and he thinks to himself, well, the Indian and myself, being a black, are being treated just the same way by the whites. And when they saw each other's eyes, and there was that mutual respect was there was a harbinger of that at that time. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about co-writing. You don't see a whole lot of co-writers on fiction. You see nonfiction. You have a lot of some co-writers and collaborative effort. How is it to write historical fiction as a team?
Well, I just bring him coffee, and
Yeah,
so
right.
he
No,
sends me to the
I,
corner.
I was good. He just beat me to the line. I just sit there and do you need a pastrami sandwich or you need a espresso? No, we storyboard the ideas together and we work out the spine of the story, and then back and forth we just throw each other stuff all the time. We know where we're going, and one of us will call the other one with an idea, and we'll go yes or no, and to continue from there. But we're in the beginning just back and forth all the time, throwing stuff together. It's a joy. I love it. I
It's
love working.
it's been a remarkably rewarding. Uh, I guess one way to sum it up is like you don't know what you don't know. I'll think my way through a part of the story and think I've got, my hands around it, and then we get on the phone for 5 minutes or we get together and I realized, I was miles away from what could have been better. We're actually here and now collaborating, working on another story, not a sequel, but a new novel. And
No.
we kind of looked at each other after sitting down storyboarding on Windows, and we're like, oh, yeah, this is way more than either of us thought was going to come out of this session. So Initially, the core concept, as Creed mentioned, he pitched, and it was in some research that it locked in my mind. And from there, the heart of the story, it's that human moment, but it's an action book. And I think combining background sensibilities, they say, like, not to hype us too much, but the greatest bands in history were not about the individual musicianship. They're about chemistry,
Yep.
right? And I felt the same way about this, which is apropos considering we've got a great musician at the table as well.
I told Nathan when we started, so listen, I'm an idea guy. I come up with these things like songs. But I write 3-minute songs, you know, and they're very cinematic. I said I think they're very cinematic, but I didn't know what that meant until I started pitching ideas and see what this guy came back with. And then I'm excited. I call him back and say, "Oh my God, it's Cormac McCarthy. I'm
Exactly.
so I'm so glad to be working with you."
This book, it really does it. I could very easily see this as a multi-episodic streaming show. I mean, it's so grand, and the story is so impactful. It really is really, really interesting. Um, is there any possibility of that happening that you could talk about?
Who do you know over at NBC?
Oh,
No, this is you try. Obviously, we both have some track record in that space, or but I think one of the values of this was turning our attention to it as a novel only. In fact, our initial conversation was as a TV pilot, but it came to fruition when we made this, and a work in and of itself, and a
We
story in and of
think of
itself.
it like a novella, just a little kind of a more of a not so grand, not so grand. And all of a sudden it just had a life of its own once we let it once we loosened the rein a little bit on its mouth. It
And in
just
the
took
hands
off.
of the right filmmaker, the right storytellers in that medium, I think we both see something that we'd love to show up and watch. There's a
Yeah.
perennial appetite for Westerns. I think that uh, this is, you see the story of the Buffalo Soldiers told, sideways sometimes, and a number of other, what's the Christian Bale, um,
Renting,
Christian Bale movie with they have the Buffalo Soldier. They talk about the Buffalo Soldiers who joins, returning I think it was even the Cheyenne, returning them to the tribe. Hostages, possibly.
hostages,
So
West Duty. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know that I can think of something that is strongly told that human part, like the part that Creed, really that germinated as that initial seed and that I grabbed onto. So I think it'd be very rewarding to see that in the hands of the right filmmaker. We were just talking about Train Dreams,
Oh, did you see
cinematography.
that? Did you see that Scott Train Dreams on
yeah.
Netflix? Did you see it?
No, I
Scott?
have not. No,
Oh,
no.
oh, so good.
It's just
So good.
beautiful and contemplative. And
Incredible, beautiful.
the scenery of the West is so rewarding, even that kind of Midwest
Well,
inspiration.
I grew up in this little town of 300 people up by Yosemite, and it was a cowboy. We had a rodeo there, and all the people around my mom were all had literally like cowboy characters. They had horses and cowboy hats and stuff. So I grew up watching. These were my idols when I was a
Yeah,
kid. So that's the movies that always that I'm comfortable with. And again, you write what you know too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I made a note of it. I'll be sure to check it out. Which character in this book do you vote? Each of you, what's your favorite character?
Hmm. Well, I like the asshole military officer because that's the guy I could play. I don't know what Nathan wants to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great rewards in writing a novel is the characters, or writing any story, characters start to come alive in a way that you want to spend time with them. There's a lot of abrasive characters here, but I think, yeah, I think when you meet the Crow slave, and Johnson is you have those moments of him sort of finding some refuge in her. That's a part that spoke to me. But I also like I like Meterato, and I like
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
don't.
they all, when they came in, it's just like, not that like main characters, but they start asserting themselves in your psyche, and pretty soon you're giving voice to them when you weren't planning on it. They're finding what they want to say, and you just let them talk.
But I think you embrace a little bit Tyler as your entry into the story. Tyler, you understand kind of because in a way Johnson is a little impenetrable. Like he's very proud. He's very, he doesn't reach out to you in the reader as much as others who are like I think Tyler offers that bridge into the story a little bit for
Yes,
me.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
This next question is kind of geared toward Nathan more than Creed, but you're more than welcome to jump in too. What made you want to be a writer?
Oh, well, I think I've always been writing somehow, but there's I think two things that I often point towards when I'm asked some version of this question. My dad's a writer, and not a fiction writer, but one of the things he instilled in me first to be a writer, you have to be a reader, and I was raised well as a reader, and I remember bringing him stories, and he would either sort of make jokes about them or not compliment me, which isn't a cruelty, but it was a way of saying, you know, this is a journey. You haven't. There's no congratulations. This is something he I actually have it on my wall. I wrote, "The reader shares no sympathy" to me one time, and I put it in a little plaque. And I think that was very important to me to call me to the idea that writing is a process and requires a great deal of humility. I don't remember the story as Chekhov, I think, or Tolstoy. I think I'm getting this backwards, but anytime Chekhov would finish a story, he'd go read Tolstoy and say, that's how I should have done it. But I also had a mentor, Bill Sessions, who was very close with Flannery O'Connor, Walker Percy. And I spent time with him when I was in high school. And similarly, I'd write a short story and go up there hoping he'd give me praise, and he'd flip it over and write what I should be reading. And there's a lot of things that make you want to write, reading Michael Crichton, reading Cormac, reading Flannery. But I think the thing that makes you capable of being a writer is having a mentor who drives you towards, the challenge of it, and understanding that there's many people much better than you came before.
Yeah.
Indeed,
Could you
indeed.
writ you write you've written comics and other stuff also, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Creed, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, when I met Nathan, we met at Hugo's at a restaurant. We started talking, and we kind of felt there was we felt simpatico with each other, and it was in the cards, as they say,
Yeah.
that we would start writing together. We kind of knew that thing. I had been writing songs, of course, for a
Yeah.
long, long time, but I didn't have any big hits. I had a couple of a B side with on the grassroots stuff like that. I've been writing poetry, and a few people say I think it's pretty good. But maybe when I wrote the Creed character for The Office and realized that Greg Daniels liked that comedy writing, and then I got enough to get me in the door, that maybe I had something to offer. So that one little thing, that little bone they threw at me, was maybe enough to, oops, I'm sorry, give me confidence enough to think, well, maybe I can do this thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, you got to throw yourself out there to fail
Well, and
sometimes.
part of I think the not value, but part of what you can draw from working with an actor who knows, who is an accomplished actor, a very talented actor like Creed, is they know how to get inside the head of a character that is very enlightening, or to me,
Yeah,
and
I think
so
I have an insight on this. And also another thing too, Nick Cage was a big encouragement to me, because I saw some guy who was writing songs that I respected, and then he was also going on and writing fiction at the same time too. I mean, like The Proposition,
Yeah.
one of the westerns, even though albeit it's Australian, it's still one of the best westerns out there.
Yeah.
and we, by the way, we mention Hugo's in every interview. We get a free meal every time we do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we.
I'll be sure to leave that in and tell my wife not to edit that part out.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
What part of writing makes you happy? Like, is it digging in at the beginning and plotting everything out, or is it that final reward of submitting that 900th draft to your editor and say it's done?
If
Okay.
if
Yeah.
I without a doubt for me, it's none of the above. It's when we're sitting here working and all of a sudden the thing takes off and we're going, oh, the epiphany,
Mm.
the gestalt, that light thing where it just goes boom. That's in the moment thing. I'm off on that. That's it. I don't care about anything else. That's what I get off on that moment of stuff.
I'll give a slightly different answer, which is the first thing you said. I love that first blank page. It's that it's the Bilbo Baggins moment of you step off your you take the first step on the great journey. It's definitely not the latter because I never feel like it's done. I never feel content. And the minute we wrap one thing, it's looking towards the next.
Hmm.
But I certainly agree that the creative energy of a collaboration that's bearing like a story that you couldn't have anticipated when the story
Like
starts to
today.
yeah
We
it
got
starts to
an
reveal
amazing day today.
yeah it starts to reveal itself for you, that's yeah, it is a drug.
Yeah, and
The
I know about that stuff too.
the first from the first meeting that you all had and decided that you all were going to do this story, how long did it take you to finish it? Was it 6 months, 3 months, 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years. I mean, there was a period where we weren't actively writing. We'd had the concept. I think both were busy with things, and then when we came back to lock in to say let's move forward on this story, and it had kind of germinated in our minds. Yeah, it was about a 2 year
You
process
know,
all told.
and we weren't sure if it was going to work at all, but it just all of a sudden we just found that it was happening, you know. Um, when I first read Nathan's what he had done with the first stuff, I was sold. And then at that time, I went, okay, okay, that's
Did you all
pretty good here.
did, did you all do did you all plot it out and do a outline, or did you just start typing and going and just let it flow? Which one would
We
you all
knew how
say?
it started and we knew how kind of was going to end. We had the end and we just had to fill in just all the stuff in between the beginning and the end. So that was easy.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a balance of both. I guess you could liken it to road trip. You sort of know where you're going, but you don't necessarily know everything that's going to happen along the way.
Yeah.
And we kick around moments that we think are like, we don't want to do tropes. That's the last thing. We talked about that a lot. We don't want to do standard tropes that you find, even though it's hard to get away from those. When we look at each other and go, oh, I haven't seen that before. That's our sweet spot there. We like that a lot.
Nathan, this one's for you. How do you switch from the comic book to long fiction? How do you switch from this to this?
Long fiction definitely feels more like home to me.
That
It's what I grew up reading. Um, And if I can, feel sort of, it's like Odysseus in the Odyssey when he calls, when he goes to summon those dead from the underworld, you feel like, wow, if it's possible that I can sort of exist in the same space and, find the current that other writers have found. I feel, yeah, it feels like home to me.
Yeah. What does it mean to be a successful writer to each of you? What is the success mean?
No, I don't know that answer yet, so he does.
I mean, it's a good question. I don't think
We'll see how it goes.
it always surprises me when somebody, it's probably a little different for you in other areas where you've been so successful, other areas of art, but it always surprises me when somebody comes up and has any kind of compliment for my work. Sort of like, oh, you know, like it just no matter what the story, no matter sort of how well it did or didn't do, I'm always surprised. And I think it takes me a moment to step back and say, well, that was the goal, is that it would resonate with somebody, they would respond to it. But I think if I'm pointing at something in this collaboration, we did a read from the new book of the first chapter to this sort of private dinner not long ago. And I was very pleasantly amazed. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, we're onto something here. And it was because we were sort of in a setting and a context where we stepped out of it and we're reading, not that we're peering at other people's reactions, but it was put in a place where we were outside the forest and, watching somebody else in it. And that was very rewarding to me.
Yeah, that was yeah, that was an illuminating moment for me too. I think it's hard, especially as far as acting, for like people come up and talk about the show. It's always hard to handle compliments
Yeah.
more so than anything else. It makes you uncomfortable,
And they're
and
dangerous.
and you can't buy your own press. Certainly, I don't settle in and think there's anything special going on because I was on a show. I just think I was had worked really hard, got lucky. That's it. That's it. And not that I didn't work hard. I did. I did.
But
You know.
I'll say something. We talked about this not long ago, and not to turn the conversation this way, but I mean, The Office is important. Like it's part of sort of American history now. It's part of, and I think that there is something to be proud of that you're part of something that
Oh
people,
yeah, yeah,
are
yeah.
connected to, that has meaning to people. And I think that it's okay to embrace that, not as a matter of necessarily personal success, but to say like my contribution actually had value here that other people, has brought value to other people.
Yeah, no, I'm not belittling that thing at all. I'm just it's not cocky. It's not it's con maybe it's confirming that you made the right decision. The
Yeah.
right time. Yeah.
You certainly know when you haven't.
Yeah,
Like when you
you know when you don't do it, and you know when you do it right. So obviously we did something right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lightning in the bottle and then all that. Whether it's part of the will it stay part of the zeitgeist? Well, we'll see. We don't know. Who knows?
You, you know, for you to write a fictionalized character based on yourself is an accomplishment all on its own. I mean,
Thank you.
that
Thank you.
that I I will confess I've never been a huge fan of The Office. It's just not my type of
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah,
But my wife watched it. She had back surgery one year around Thanksgiving, and she was laid up until Christmas, pretty much. And she watched every episode twice, I think, from in that 5 or 6 week period, and she can quote lines from it. So, and it, like you said, that is a very important part of history of the United States. You know, how that one show is able to resonate with so many people, and she's a nurse, but, I just
and
thought that was pretty interesting.
and
yeah.
bring joy to people and bring, an escape. I think those things
I'm very happy when people come up and say that an episode that I was in or something that occurred that gave them so much joy
mm,
that got them through an hard emotional time. Yes, I definitely take pleasure, and I'm pleased that we were able to facilitate some kind of healing on some level.
and
Yes.
I do think it's rare, speaking more categorically, that you can accomplish something in art form that one is sort of seminal in that way, but two also opens the door to so many other things, right? It's revelatory in a way that other creators suddenly have inspiration. And, on the one hand, it leads to a lot of people chasing and copycatting things that are like a pale comparison.
Yeah.
But on the other, somebody's going to go and stand on that. And, it's like, I mean, Greek mythology is that way, right? Because Greek mythology exists, pantheons of literature, art, film, plays, everything can stand on that and move forward because it opens, so many gateways. And
Yes.
so, with plenty of humility, you hope that any artwork you're a part of, it'd be extraordinary if you get to a place where it opens the door for other creatives to come in and derive something from that will lead to something that otherwise couldn't have existed
I feel like
or
my
would.
career has been like a termite in the Trojan horse. They brought the people in there, and later on, this little critter got out and ran amok, kind of. Yeah.
Oh, so we talked earlier, to be a writer first, you have to be a reader. What are you guys reading right now?
Well, I just finished up Hail Mary. Actually, no, that's this the second novel, which I want to say Artemis. Is
Yeah.
that was there was the Martian and then this Artemis, and which
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't. But then Hail Mary, I just finished that up.
So unexpectedly fun.
So good. So I was so surprised.
Yeah.
And I read a lot. I read Cormac McCarthy, Larry McMurtry. I used to read a lot of Louis L'Amour. I read all of them. And I've got a like behind you. This is the same thing with both the westerns, the sci-fi, and there was a period of time during the '60s with all the drugs and stuff, with the metaphysical roads I was going down and stuff like that. It's very eclectic. My reading is very, very eclectic.
I actually am currently reading a book on, what is it, Why We Sleep, about the science of sleep. And I'm a very poor sleeper, so that's been, it's a little bit of a wagging the finger at me and while I'll die, or, the reasons I'm going to die early. But I do a lot of nonfiction these days, but I also did just finish a reread. I haven't read it in a long time, The Day of the Jackal.
Hmm.
And before that, Henry James, The Ambassadors. Henry James is a little bit of a slog sometimes, but that one's been on my shelf. And then historically, yes, Cormac is a major touch point.
Yeah.
I can reread and reread Cormac. I have a history, personal history with Michael Crichton's work that I think really drove me into, wanting to elevate storytelling. And reread the Odyssey, reread that about every year, the Silmarillion about every other year. So I think that's started up that on Audible yesterday.
I recently read, well, a few months ago, actually, again, the Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil
Okay.
about the AIs becoming sentient in 2045. And I had to go through that again. And yeah, it's sober, little heady, grounding material for sure.
You've both kind of touched on it a little bit, but who are some of your influences that make you the writer or actor writer that you are today?
Whoa, wow. Well, the first time I thought rock and roll could be something more just than rhyming schemes and bobby socks and soda pops and stuff like that was Rubber Soul and the Revolver by the Beatles. I consider those both those albums bookends. They just
Mm.
basically I consider them one album
Yeah.
basically. Bob Dylan, of course. Oh gosh, Leonard Cohen, Nick Cave.
Mhm.
There's just stuff that just gets me inspired to thinking that you can get something that's going to emotionally maybe have a paradigm shift in someone's consciousness, something profound, which you can achieve. I'm not that I have, but that's what I would like to strive for,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna to pull off. It was a moment for me. I remember my dad playing me on a record, Nowhere Man, and then talking about Nietzsche.
Hmm.
And I was young, but I remember distinctly realizing or being sort of it revealed to me the depth that a song can have, and even not directly intended by the writer. And then he also did the same with Thus Spake Zarathustra from the 2001 soundtrack.
Yes.
And he was a philosophy professor, so Nietzsche was one of the classes he taught. So he was, I remember those as moments of understanding the depth that something can have. I mentioned Crichton, Flannery O'Connor, Cormac, Homer. I mean, who else is like on the very high list? Those are some of the tops. John le Carre, for sure. Obviously, I've done a lot in espionage. I love that genre. Frederick Forsyth. Funny story about Frederick Forsyth. I was in the UK many years ago, and I was at Wellington College, of all places, in Crowthorne, this old town of Crowthorne, England, and I was supposed to speak for something. And I guess it was a green room, kind of a waiting room, and there was an older gentleman, and I sat and talked with him for about an hour, just about it, nothing. I mean, everything and nothing. We talked politics and some history. He knew a little bit about Wellington College, and he went to go speak. After he got done, the host kind of mentioned something about loving his work and saying, "I wish I had something to sign," or something along those lines. And I said, "I don't understand. What does he do?" And he said, "Well, he's a writer." And I said, "Is he somebody I know?" He goes, "Yeah, he's Freddie Forsyth. He wrote Day of the Jackal." And I've been talking to him about, he was going down this gravel, driveway and I ran. I'm running from this like castle after him. And I said, I didn't know who you were. He gave me his address. We actually exchanged
Oh
several
my God.
typewritten
Oh my
letters. I have a
God.
signed
Oh
copy of the book.
wow.
So it was a total kismet moment that yeah, appreciated so greatly. And talk about a humble, intelligent, writer. So yeah, but I will adjust your question a little bit. None of these writers make me feel, however you phrased it, as a successful or capable writer. It's the opposite. Look at all these people and say, God, if only I could do that.
Subliminally, you think about Bob Dylan and
Mm,
what he's done to the consciousness of the world. Actually, you
Mhm.
think about it. Some of those things that are not there. That's not a political statement. It's not a hammer on a nail saying, "Boom, here it is. This is what you got to do." It sneaks up on you. It gets in your DNA, and
Yeah.
that's insidious in a really good
mm.
way.
I'd love
That's
to
yeah.
write a crime novel with Jacob Dylan. Actually, I think he's such a, or actually saw him the other day. First time I've ever,
Interesting lyrics too.
yeah, first time I've said, oh yeah, he's definitely Bob Dylan's son. Like he's eating into the look. But I gave Dylan's greatest hits to Lily, my daughter, for
Uh-huh.
Christmas. I gave her
Oh.
the vinyl, and so I agree. I agree completely.
They're going to be, that's the one that's going to be changing everything. Is just the
Mm.
right song that catches on people. Also, Brandon Flowers from The Killers is an
Yes.
excellent lyricist,
Yeah.
and his stuff I mean, I went, okay, wow, this is really, really good. Yeah,
I wouldn't say I got to know him, but we had,
you told me that. Yeah,
yeah, that's
you'd
it.
met him up
I've
there,
got he's
but you didn't call me,
what a phenomenal
bastard.
guy.
The
We
hell.
put our phones down. It was, this is no, I'm huge fan. My daughter's favorite band is The Killers, and I completely agree. He writes with meaning, purpose, soul, and if you ever look up the interview of Rut,
And foresight.
yes, absolutely. So, yeah, we're in sync
Yep,
on all
yep. And
those
that.
songwriters.
Hey, look at what we found out. Thank you, Scott. We heard both.
There we go.
He's good.
What
Really good.
what do you think is one of the most underappreciated works of fiction?
Hmm.
Well, I'll let you go with that one. I'm trying to think about that one.
Y'all can collaborate. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, one that comes to mind, I don't know that it's underappreciated, but I'm always surprised by who's not aware of it. And I think it's talk about prescient, important. I really think it actually was inspiration for True Detective is Thanatos Syndrome, Walker Percy.
No,
Um,
no.
I'll send you a copy of that.
Okay.
I don't know that I have a great answer. That one comes to mind, but it's not unknown. So, Child of God by Cormac, I think, is extraordinary, and I don't. Most people, even if they've read Cormac, aren't super into
Well,
that.
that orchard period,
But
yeah,
even these are
yeah.
still fairly mainstream. I'd have to think of something that. Um,
Wow, underrated. Well, all my early songs. There you
Oh,
go.
Good
There you
answer.
go. There you go.
Game on everybody.
Shame on
Yeah.
everybody. No, I mean that's embarrassing. You write 100 songs and maybe five or seven finally get cut. That's the deal.
yeah.
That's an that's
It's
an
really
excellent.
so much stuff that just notes and you think and there's never impetus to continue it because it's got to pull you along or it gets left behind.
That's an excellent question, though, and I'm still
No, I
thinking.
don't know the answer to that
I mean,
myself.
I'm thinking of the times when I've told somebody about a book that they weren't aware of, sort of excitedly. Again, it wasn't unknown, but it's by a Christian author, Frank Peretti. The Oath was a book that I've always loved. I'm often, pitching it to people who haven't read it. I actually really wanted to develop that into a TV series at one point, but I'll have to think a little more.
Oh, I remember seeing, well, this is how it had to be. It was a screenplay, so it was written first. The Lobster, the film called The
Mm,
Lobster. My
mm.
kids, all my friends hated it. They thought I was just crazy. What's going on with you? And I said, no, it's important. I said, it's really, really good. And no one hated it. And then finally it won an Oscar for something. And I called everyone.
Yeah.
Hey, Stan, you have a little faith. I did. I did. I got my moment.
You kind of mentioned this, Nathan. You said you'd like to write a crime novel with Jacob Dylan, what genre would you like to write in other than what you've already written? Would you like to try horror, suspense? You know, you've done historical, Western. Is there anything that you all would like to try that you haven't done yet?
Um, a hard sci-fi book doesn't necessarily, attract me, but I think that it can be born of an extraordinary idea. And if one were to come, to dive into a hard sci-fi universe, I did just complete a crime novel, that's kind of got a little bit of a twist to it, like a little bit of a genre twist. Um, I recently was working on something that, well, I can't say too much about it, but it was in a genre that I never been interested in. A lot of emotional sort of romance, some things in there, and I was far more, I don't know, far more into it than I thought I'd be. As far as something, I don't know that I have an answer. I've never really been. I love. I would love to have an idea based in like science fiction. Like I look at Michael Crichton and think, if only I was an anthropologist and a Harvard educated doctor, maybe I could do something right, like he did. So I feel, that kind of thing. But then, um, I don't think I've ever been just directed to I need to do this genre. It's the idea.
Yeah.
I didn't seek out a Western genre. Creed had the idea, and it was the idea that I said, no, I want to chase this down. Like I'm on board.
Well, that crystallized the thing. I wrote a song a couple of months ago. It was called "The Outskirts of the Valley," and I finished the song in a couple of days. I'd stopped. I was writing to Hugo's again. That's another pancake.
Another free meal. There you go.
And I wrote the line on the way there on my phone. Had on the way back, I stopped, read the second one, got home, finished half of it. A couple of days later, I was doing yoga or meditating or something like that. And bam, it calls you. So I finished the song. And it's like right away I wanted to meet Paul Thomas Anderson or Quentin Tarantino because it was like Boogie Nights meets some kind of adventure, like a drug dealer thing, Pulp Fiction or something like that.
Mm.
It has condensed those movies. And I went, okay, but now how am I going to get to those guys, and say, hey, pretend you had a conversation with me, and then I can write the song for your film that we'll write together.
Mm.
See,
We're
that's
joined now by my co-host, Teresa. Uh,
Teresa.
we
Teresa.
Hey, sorry, I thought I was on time.
she doesn't read her text messages. It's okay.
No.
That's right.
I was just I was thinking it was long. Um, that's a good. I like that. I wonder how many books or movies were born of a song. It's funny you said about Brandon Flowers. I actually wrote a short story derived from one of his songs, just not for any purpose other than
They're great.
it was actually
Perfect for it,
he said it to me. I told him, I said, have you thought of writing books? Because you're very narrative, in some of your songs. And he said, somebody should write a book, a Desperate Things is the song. Somebody should really write a book about, or write it. He's like, that should be a story. So I went that night, wrote a short story about it, sent it to him. He didn't respond. So obviously he hated it, but
No, he didn't hate it. He never read
there's that too. No, but I do find once in a while a song will strike you in a way where you're like, I don't, it may not reveal to you the narrative, but you just say, I want to capture what this is making me feel. What is the
Yeah.
story that can come out of this? Like what is, and I have that sometimes.
And sometimes it can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes that ambiguity, that gray area is all you really need for the song to put you in the place you start reminiscing about things that have moved you in certain areas before, positive or negative areas, And music, and you could write it down and then lose the feeling
You
that the
can.
song gave you
I
sometimes.
remember in Bono in one of his interviews made a comment. He says, a film, if you watch a film, I don't think he said it about books, but he said about films, you move through it, you can put it in your past. Like you move on from that film. He says a song, the right song never leaves you.
There you go. There you go.
It's
See?
always there.
That's important
Yeah.
stuff.
There you go.
If you tap that in a book, like, you're doing something
Yeah,
right.
yeah. A song will, as they say, postcards of our lives will stay with you forever.
Mm.
This is true. So this is a little fun question here. It's one of Teresa's favorites, by the way. Um, so
She
you're
doesn't.
going to get to go on a road trip with a famous or non-famous author. Who is it? Where are you going first? And what is the first question you're going to ask?
Hunter Thompson,
Ooh.
back in the 80s.
Yeah.
The question would be, are you still holding?
I mean, obviously it's got to be Hemingway across,
Oh,
Central Africa.
no, he'd want to fight. He'd want to get in a boxing match or something. I think that would
Yeah,
be it.
but you
And I
just,
and I play guitar, so I can't. I'd have to worry about my hands. I not that I want to fight him. Of course, I want to fight him.
be an
Closer,
audience to it, but
closer.
I think a road trip. Then again, it might be miserable. He was very solitary.
Don't meet your heroes, and that's what they always say. Don't meet them. They're going to
Well, this is
disappoint
true.
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I don't, writers, like I can speak from, myself being miserable, making a lot of other people miserable. I don't think writers make the best company.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I always wanted to meet Michael Crichton. No, excuse me, Michael.
That's mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Gibson. Um,
William Gibson.
William Gibson. I wanted to meet William Gibson, but he might be so inside his head that there'd be nothing to. 'Cause I'm saying he would love my ideas, and he would just probably look like an owl, just blink and turn away. And
Yeah.
so I don't think so. I think I'd be disappointed, not with him, but by my reaction, his reaction with me.
I did make I can answer this question realistically. I did spend many, many years. I read all of Michael Crichton's books by third grade, despite my parents trying to restrict that a little bit. And I spent years trying to have lunch with him. And then I actually won this contest. It was like
To have lunch with Michael
to have
Crichton.
lunch, and then he
Wow.
died before it happened.
Oh,
And
No.
that's I ever cried over was being a
he didn't
sociopathic.
know what to say to you. It's probably why.
But I wonder what the question would have been. That's something, and it wasn't like you had to compete for trivia around his book next, and so you had to work something out, and I kind of did it thinking I didn't have a shot, and somehow I won, and then it was yeah. I wonder what the first question would have been. I don't know. No.
I did meet and got to hang a while with Peter Bogdanovich,
Mm.
and he was had an encyclopedic inventory of every movie and every screenplay, and he was a font of knowledge on that subject, and he was very open to share it, and he was a very interesting man. I enjoyed my time talking with him. I wrote a song on one of my early albums called Peter Bogdanovich Movie. If I could be in a Peter Bogdanovich movie. Oh, you have to hear it's very, very
What
good.
about Cervantes? I could horseback ride across Spain with Cervantes.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Going through the Crete, looking for the Minotaur.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good thought experiment.
So I have a quick question. Just listening to what I got to hear, the banter between you two, I just have to ask, how long does it take you to really get anything done?
No.
Today we wrote so much in 2 hours. You'd be we're just babbling,
You
having
do?
fun
Okay.
here.
It's just you guys
Writing a
banter
story,
so good.
the story is just takes us on, and we're just going bam, 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 bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam.
We
We're on fire.
we budgeted about, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours, whatever today was
Yep.
gonna provide. We've got this place, my little writing retreat, and yeah, I think we thought 6 to 8 hours, and in 2 hours we're like, oh, that's it. We
It regurgitated itself, basically. That's not a very not romantic word, but it wanted to be told today. It just jumped out.
Yeah.
And we were like giddy after this. That's probably what we're seeing right now is we're giddy about just getting all that work done today. So
Well, a lot of our interactions are Creed will call with a vignette, a line, a moment, a scene, and he'll just say, I got something.
babbling.
And he'll throw it. Maybe it's reading, a note, and I'll pull over, I'll stop for a second, listen, and then we just launch into ooh, and then what if, and then what if, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of highly productive business you know.
Back all the and we're calling each other all the time, and whoever says something, it will always open another door, and it's another road comes, and then we take it from there. Blah blah. We break the notes, write it down, and then it all eventually there's the trajectory, there's the spine, the story, and all these things fill in. They're little buffers, and you push them in there on that road, stuff that story up, so it's moving good. It's moving good.
And we're professionals. We don't have time for jokes and friends.
No, I don't mean like
being social.
we just work well together. Exactly.
That's really cool because like just a little bit that I got to see that like I can feel it. Just you guys are doing. There's like an energy between the two of you. It's really
Oh, wait,
neat.
we have so much fun. But we were again just today with such good stuff today. We're thrilled. Yeah.
And
Anyway,
you can feel in the book too. There's energy that you can sense in the book that it was a tight collaboration.
we get
If you will.
excited. We get excited and yell at each other, going, yes, 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 a lot, right?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot. That's the joy. Again, talking about what gets you off. It's those moments where we're going, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. We both want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see it on the page, and we want to see possibly a film shooting that scene because we go, oh, that would look so great. Again, there's the word. That would look so great
We're
on
both
the
very
screen.
very visual.
Very visual,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Earlier, you kind of hinted that you all are working on something else. Is there anything you can tell us about it? But if you can't, we totally understand.
Keep it on.
Yeah, it's another Western.
Yeah,
We can say that.
It's another Western, but we probably won't talk too much about it until we get it done, you know?
It's a little more adventure, classic Western, a little less historically.
Okay.
I think it's definitely more exciting.
Yeah,
Definitely more exciting, yeah.
That's about all I want to say.
And that wasn't the plan. It was just the way it's turned out.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe more.
that's fine. I appreciate it.
I'm excited though because I'm a big Western fan, so I
Yeah.
love a Western.
All
So.
right.
Are you also in Tennessee, Teresa?
No, Kentucky.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
She's a Yankee.
Ah,
No.
I had
So
been lobbying for years to get on a Western as an actor. And about maybe 3 years ago, I went to Romania to shoot this, The Sisters Brothers with Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly. And I worked over there for a couple of days, and you could see me in the movie, but all my scenes, the director and the producer and the writer would call me on different days and say, "You're in, you're out, you're in." Jacques said he loves it. Jacques says, "No, it's too long." Jacques says it's. I had my heart ripped out of my chest for about a week. So maybe I want to do these westerns so finally I'll get a part where I can actually be on a horse. I had a gun, got to walk down the street and do gun stuff, but I didn't get to be on the horse. So that's my bucket list, as it were. You know,
I mean, there is that category of Western actors that's what they want to do. They want to be out riding. They want to be on, they
I
want
to do it.
out and
I want to do it.
Yeah.
Well, as long as I'm not too old still to ride a horse. The horse will look at me like, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. Something will be the horse is called.
You got to find the right horse.
Ride the right horse. Patient horse.
So if our viewers and listeners want to connect with you all on social media, how would they go about doing that?
I'm actually not very social media enabled anymore, but I know we respond to things through the publisher, Meridia Books, so at Meridia, which you've been connected to. Creed,
I bailed out of that stuff a while back. I just can't.
Well, but you have
I
channels.
have PR people when I'm doing films and working on projects and stuff, where an album's coming out. They will do stuff, but I just don't do that. I don't know why. It just doesn't appeal to me. Yes,
it drains me of being able to work.
It tires me out. Yeah.
But you can get the book at Meridia Books, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and I mean he's on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram.
Publishers on Instagram.
My people are on Instagram.
We'll see.
And I acknowledge, I pretend that I'm on it.
Yeah, we'll be sure to put a link to the book. Do they have any more signed copies left? I know I got one. Do they have any of those in stock?
I believe we do have. I believe we can make some happen if you'd like to do something. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you need?
I will say, Scott, I've looked at your channel. You are one of the most prolific readers I think I've ever,
Thank you. Thank you.
encountered. Just remarkable.
I like all genres. I don't turn anything down. If somebody reaches out and wants me to read, I'll read it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't talk about it if I don't like it. If I like it, I talk about it. And Teresa's pretty much the same way. She jokes that she's a man reader because she reads all the man type books, but I like a Christian romance. It doesn't bother me.
I like it. I like a watch divorcee novel. That's the one that get me going.
Yeah, I've been
right
getting
up.
into the
Yeah.
Jurassic romances, the dinosaurs.
It's my age.
Yeah.
Going through. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So this is their book, Buffaloes by Nathan Edmondson and Creed Bratton, the real Creed Bratton, not the fictional Creed Bratton.
Yep.
It's available at Meridia Books and Amazon, but if you want to sign one, Meridia has some. Anything else, guys?
No, Scott, thank you so much
Scott,
for your
thank you,
time.
Scott. Thank
Yeah.
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you. Thank you,
Sure you-
Teresa. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.